Good morning, everybody. Hey, that was different and normal. So I've changed my scripts a little bit. I made a little bit of an update on the automation scripts. And the reason I did this is because I needed to add an extra element. What I needed to do was find a way to cause the router to change the inputs before the recording started. What happens is when I'm recording news, I need to record it from the program output from what's going on the air. But when I'm recording promos, I need to record it from a different satellite. And since I don't have anybody here at that time, I needed to automate that process. So I did some research on the Blackmagic website and found a documentation about the Video Hub, which is the router we use, and how to control it remotely using terminal. And it was pretty interesting. So I've written an Applescript. And basically how it starts, and this is just for this particular control, but how it starts is it tells the application terminal to activate, and then it telnets into the router. It uses the telnet function at port 9990. If you don't have this, it will refuse it. It doesn't ask for a password or anything, so be aware of that. And then you can execute commands using the telnet. But what I've done is I've had a delay for 3 seconds because if you try to execute the command before it finishes, what it automatically does is it puts up a little bit of some information for you on the telnet. And so if you try to execute a command before that, it won't understand the command and it'll tell you that it could not understand. So I delay it for 3 seconds and then I tell it, give me a blank line, and then I say video output routing. And this is all done in the telnet. Video output routing with a colon. And then the next line, I tell it output, then input. So my output is always going to be 23, but my input will change. In this case, it's 2. And then I tell it to give me another line, and that executes it and makes it happen. Okay, and then endtel, return input. Just a typical Applescript start to finish right there. Okay, then I have it open up control room and pause, and then I run this shell script. Now remember, before I had the shell script, I had it going to this particular folder and then running this script with this name. The thing I've added to it is this kill all terminal, and the reason is because now that I'm in the telnet script up here, it doesn't close the window when it's done. It stays open and stays connected to telnet, and there is no exit command on this particular router to exit the telnet. The way that Blackmagic says is close the window. And when you try to close the window or try to quit the application of terminal, it hangs up because it wants to make sure you're okay with that. And so what I've done is I've had terminal basically force quit itself. I've had the shell force quit terminal. And that's what I do right here. And it works. It's just fine. It doesn't save any input or anything like that. It's great. So then it finishes its recording and it pauses for another 15 seconds and quits the app. Okay? And that's how I did that. Now on the other script, this is for the promos, and for the other ones, instead of going 23.2, it goes 23.13. And the reason I have it do that is because I need the program output, and the program output is on input 13. Okay, I'm going to show you one other little tidbit of information that you need to know before trying these programs. And that is that the telnet version of the router control is one number less. It starts at 0 instead of 1. On both the input and the output. So your sources and your destinations start at 0 instead of 1. And what that causes is that each of these numbers that you see in here, like 25, so on and so forth, those numbers are one less. So when I go down here to output 24 or destination 24, and I look, it's on FS3 or destination 3, source 3. In the Telnet version, this will be destination 23, source 2. If I were to click this, this would be source 0. And if I were to change to 13, it would be 14 here. So my MC program out is actually source 13 to the Telnet. So you have to keep that in mind when you're running your scripts or you're writing your scripts, that you need to write one letter or one number less for your scripts. All right? And that was a little update that I wanted to give you, show you how that's done. I didn't want to run it because it runs for an hour and a half. But I wanted to let you know about it. Oh, the other thing I need to let you know is, and I don't know why this is happening, but I went ahead and made some changes, and it seems to work okay. Before, I was recording in Apple ProRes 422, and it's a great codec. I love this codec, and I wanted it to stay this way, but we're having a problem. It, for some reason, is not recording all the time. It will drop frames like crazy. And in this promo feed of an hour and a half, it's dropping enough frames to give me only 17 minutes worth of video, and that's really bad. And I don't know why that is. I'm running a RAID 0 with 3 drives that are 7,200 RPMs and transfer speeds of 150 megabits each drive. So that shouldn't be an issue. I think it might have something to do with processor. Maybe Yosemite is processing something, or maybe the automator action causes it to process a little too much. But I found that if I record with this Avid DNxHD codec, that it actually works a little better. If this doesn't work after tonight, I'm going to try DVC Pro HD, because I know it's a much lighter, more compressed codec, and it shouldn't put as much strain on the hard drives. But I wanted to let you know about that I was having trouble with the ProRes, and I went with the DNxHD just to test it out. Let's see how it works. I think it's going to work. I recorded for an hour with it and had no drop frames. Seemed to be pretty good. So we'll give it a couple of days of test and find out. All right. That's all I had. It was just a real quick update. That's all I had for you today. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching.